Now, the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, is not happy with what it says. It's what looks like a corruption cover-up by the leadership of the House of Representatives. The PDP spokesperson, Mr. Kala Ologbundiyan, in a statement says the Gbajabiamila-led House of Reps is frustrating corruption investigation in the parliament. And he has asked that the speaker should step aside. The PDP says that the decision by the APC leadership of the House of Representatives to shut down the sitting of various committees carrying out investigation on the executive is a deliberate design to cover the stench of corruption oozing out of the APC administration. End of quote. Those are the allegations against the APC-led House of Representatives. Let's take a look into what these mean. We hope at some point we might be able to speak with one of the opposition members of the PDP in the House. But I'm being joined now by Mr. Honorable Chinedu Oga. He's a member of the APC in the House of Representatives from Ebonyi State. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much indeed for your time, Honorable Oga. Let's begin by looking at what the opposition is saying, that your party, which is in the leadership and in the majority in the House, is covering up corruption. Does your party and the leadership have a reason for allegedly shutting down all of these committees that is planned to investigate alleged corruption?
Thank you. My name is Honorable Comrade Chinedu Oga Owen. Yes, the statement by the National Public Secretary of PDP alleging that the leadership of the House is covering corruption investigation is a complete false and unfounded story. Unfounded story in the sense that if the leadership is covering up any investigation, such motion wouldn't have come up in the floor of the House. You find out that Mr. Speaker have what is called joint tax in National Assembly, in which that all the political parties are accommodated. And that leadership, you have other parties that are members of the leadership of the House. So, the Speaker have all the things carrying everybody along in the National Assembly. He have never covered up any investigative or any corruption. Rather, is even the leadership helped the Nigerians to look into what the Nigeria will benefit and what Nigeria have forgotten, and to fight the corruption that we are thinking of. For someone to wake up, start alleging the leadership of the House that they are covering of corruption is a false story. For example, you find out that there is a constitutional right and there is an order of the National Assembly, the Order 7, Rule 3, in which the Speaker of the National Assembly have the rules, have the control of the General House. And for that, they have the right with the leadership of the House at any moment to decide, irrespective that we have recess. This motion was moved. If he's not interested for such corruption to be investigated, that motion would have been killed in the floor of the House. But that motion was moved and passed.
All right.
And it was assigned to a committee. And such committee is Committee on Finance and Loan. But a particular committee wake up to carry such investigation without other committees. You can see that such people have interior motive. That is number one.
All right.
Point number two.
Just let's pause for a moment.
According to the COVID-19 guidelines.
Let's pause for a moment. We need to go on a break. Just a moment, Honorable. We'll pause for a moment. We'll take a break. When we come back, you will give us some explanation on some of the decision of the House and the leadership, and why the PDP is asking for the resignation or the stepping aside of the Speaker. That's after the break. But we'll let you see our political roundup during this break. Let's get back to the conversation with Honorable Chinedu Oga. Is a member of the House of Representatives and a member of the APC from Ebonyi State. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. We did hope that we thought that we might be able to have a member of the PDP in the House on the allegation of the PDP saying the Gbajabiamila-led leadership of the House is covering up corruption because of what they said, an intentional shutdown of sitting in the House. Let's get back to the conversation. Honorable Oga has been speaking to us about this from Abuja studio. Let's get your explanation. For a lot of people who do not understand, because the PDP, in their words here, are saying it is clear that the shutdown directive is targeted at frustrating revelations from ongoing investigation on the 500 billion foreign loan from China, particularly as it relates to the mortgaging of our nation's sovereignty to China. Those are the words of the People's Democratic Party. Does the leadership have a direct explanation why the House is not in session presently?
Thank you, my brother. The truth of it is that, one, the House is on recess. Two, there is no any time that the Mr. Speaker stopped the investigation. Three, there is a scaring of COVID-19, breaking of COVID-19 protocol, a situation by which a committee chairman invite more than 100 people to attend a particular sitting is against the regulation of COVID-19 protocol. And already, there is already rumor of most of the National Assembly members that have contacted COVID-19. So such thing is not something that the Mr. Speaker will hear and allow some session to continue. For example, if the Mr. Speaker don't want such investigation to go on, all the ministers that invited are APC members. And most of them call him before coming for the investigation. He has a right to stop it by telling them he should not attend. That is to show you how the Mr. Speaker is open to everything that is happening in the National Assembly. As APC government, they are prone for investigation. See, which government in this country have ever arrested who's on the seat and prosecute such person? It's only APC, because President Muhammad Buhari is fighting corruption. Join her with the Speaker of the National Assembly. So if anybody coming to tell you that Mr. Speaker should resign because he's covering up on investigation, that is a complete lie.
Let me, Honorable Oga, this question is very important because of what is being raised. When, statutorily, when does the House go on a break? How many recess does the House observe in a year?
The recess is one.
So when at what point, what time of the year does the House go on recess?
Date.
What time of the year does the recess happen?
The recess always start from because of COVID-19, it's supposed to start from July. But due to the COVID-19 and the sitting of the House, instead of 3 times weekly, start once in a week. And that is why the recess started from this August and in September.
But are your colleagues, I mean, it's sometimes customary that your colleagues in the Senate and the House and the Green Chamber go on recess almost at the same time. Are your colleagues in the Senate on recess too?
Yes, both the Senate and the House of Rep, they are all on recess.
So, but are you telling us...
Because there is no sitting. It's only some committees.
So are the committee probe hearings allowed to continue, or they are on pause for the moment?
No, the truth of it is that it's because of the scaring, and the life of the Nigerian is very important. For example, you find out that the last 3 weeks, the breaking news of the contaction of the COVID-19 by Minister of Foreign Affairs. That is a sort of the people that the committee invited to appear. If such a thing comes up, and the same people will go and say that the National Assembly have started killing people, bringing people, and they know that there is COVID-19 in this country. So that is why such regulation, and when the Speaker got the security report in some health sector and other security agents, he decided to say that this committee should restart in 17th of September. He did not stop the investigation.
But
he have to follow the protocol of COVID-19 regulation.
Is
the
it
COVID-19 guideline, and that is the rules. It's
can
not
one also be curious?
Any investigation.
Does it also raise any curiosity that when we have lesser cases of COVID-19, that is when the suspension is being asked or is being ordered? When we had higher COVID-19 cases, there were these sittings. These sittings were happening. But now there are lower cases than the House is.
The truth of it. The truth of it is that most members that are suspected to have a COVID-19 are coming for that sitting. And some of the people invited are suspected to have a case of COVID-19. That is endangering the life of other Nigerians. And such chairman of the committee is supposed to obey the rules and the guidelines of the COVID-19 protocol, which such was not observed.
Also,
no time that the committee suspend the investigation.
Maybe we should.
That we have to take the protocol. Is whosoever that is alive will be investigated or investigated.
Maybe we should wrap up and just in a few seconds on this note. And the question is, at this point, for those who are raising concern over at least two cases where the speaker had walked into the room when a public hearing was taking place, and for what is called the speaker's intervention when things were going perhaps awry, and he had to intervene and called for some recess. We saw that happening in the probe on the NSITF. We saw that happening in the NDDC probe. Could that also have raised concern? What is the explanation for that?
The explanation further on that aspect is that if you watch the crowd of that committee, there are almost about 300 of them. And if Mr. Speaker wanted to stop this probe, it is something not to tell the people to appear. But you find out that the Mr. Speaker is an open policy man. He knows the rules. He knows the law. And what he's saying is that watch out the video and see the crowd there. And there is a security report that some people there have a COVID-19. So the only solution to it for Mr. Speaker to intervene, that such committees should be stepped down for further so that such people cannot disseminate that COVID-19 to others for this country. Life is very important.
All right.
It's not spouting investigation.
All right, Honorable Chinedu Oga, that's about what we can have tonight on the program. Yeah.
Who is executive members in APC for a committee? If the APC people is not open and running an open policy, they won't have a time for that meeting.
All right. We need to leave it at that, Honorable Oga. I must sincerely thank you for talking about this tonight. And we do hope that we might have members of the PDP to speak to this, as we have had a member of the APC tonight speaking to this matter.